So they can't come in and like give you like the GD handshake or nothing like
No,
that.
nothing like that. What up, folk? Y'all
Right,
hiring up in here?
Right.
And I mean, we're being comical right now, but I tell you, that's not far from the truth. You know, in most cases, the units in which I've worked in have been in the inner city.
Okay.
So I'm telling you, man, we can run the gamut. I've had brothers come in, you know, dreaded out, you know, like they was Patra or something, all the way down to their behinds.
Right.
And using jargon that, you know, we use on the playground.
Right.
And when you're running a business, man, whether it's your own or someone else's, you have to realize that you're dealing with the public.
Right.
And in most cases, man, when people are spending their hard-earned dough, they want to be waited on or serviced by, in most cases, people that look like them.
Right.
Civilized, you know, people who are able to communicate and interact with the masses of people.
Right.
You know, the whole street lingo and the like, you know, whereas it might get you far on the basketball court or the playground, it's not going to go very far in Walmart or Target or IBM or some places like that.
Do you think that like some of our brothers and sisters, when they see you, that they may be more apt to use that kind of lingo? And what kind of advice, like, you know, I mean, in some regards, it can be good to see like, okay, you know, we got a black brother that's, you know, running things like Busy B in the spot.
No doubt.
But by the same token, you know, you don't want to get too familiar and everything. This is a business, kid, and you ain't too far going to see that.
Absolutely.
So do you think that sometimes that we get maybe a little too brand new? And what can we do to combat that at all?
Certainly. I think, first of all, to help combat that, we have to turn that boob tube off a little bit, except for this show.
Of course.
But in most cases, man, you know, we're watching MTV or getting our BET fix, and we're seeing a lot of buffoonerism.
Right.
And
damn,
those particular shows and genres of shows are pretty much raising our children today.
Yes.
Nobody seems to be of the mindset here as of late of the old adage of rolling up your sleeve and, you know, getting down and dirty and, you know, putting in some good hard-earned time.
Right.
And I think that, yes, in some cases people have come into one of my units and saw that, oh, it's cool, it's a brother in here.
Right.
But, you know, I'm looking the part when I'm, you know, in the job market.
Right.
Right now, you know, this is a leisurely setting. You know, we're getting ready to dine out with some friends and family, you know, so obviously, you know, I'm relaxed. You know, I got my jewelry, my earrings, things that you wouldn't see me in the workplace. So certainly, I wouldn't expect to see you looking like that if you were coming to be employed by me. In most cases, the employer is looking for someone who will be able to emulate he or she. And if I'm telling you, if you coming into the spot and you dread it out and you got your Eazy-E on, you know, you got your baggy jeans down to your ankle, that's not a good look, and it's not going to work out well with me because the bottom line is the bottom line. And you don't want to be in a situation where you have new employees who are driving away customers. You're trying to attract people to your business.
What are some things that people do to disqualify themselves in the interview that they may not be aware of?
I think the number one thing that young people do is use the word
Yes,
We hear a lot of you know, like, you know what I'm saying? That sort of thing. And that's very distracting. And I have two young men that I'm raising, and I have to constantly remind them that like, and you know what I'm saying, are not what we use when we're in a professional environment. So I think you get distracted when you hear those kinds of terms. I think the other thing that young people often do is they forget that this is indeed their opportunity to make a good first impression. You might not get that second interview because of fidgeting, twitching, gestures that are inappropriate, hands like this, or other actions that show disinterest.
Certainly. That body language can be very important.
Very important.
Now with that, like, you know what I'm saying,
And it does happen to us. It happens. It happens to me. I have to remind myself when I'm going out on a client call that I can't do that either.
And that was going to be my next question. a lot of times, we'll do these things and we're not even conscious of them.
That's right.
So what are some things that you like tell your sons or tell people who are seeking employment to try and monitor those things about yourself? Or what do you do to try and control your idiosyncrasies or things like that?
Whenever I think that I'm going to say,
Right.
I pause.
Certainly.
And sometimes it makes you feel a little uncomfortable because you think the other person is waiting for you to continue. Right. In reality, it's so quick that most people are not even noticing that you're pausing, but it gives you a chance to get your thoughts together.
Right.
The other thing that I always tell my candidates when I'm presenting them to a client or to my son or any other young person that asks is to have a script in mind. What are the things that you want to convey about yourself to the person you're interviewing with? What are your best skills? What are your assets? What are the things that you want to develop in yourself? And that way, if you have those things in mind, it's much easier to stay on track with what you want to present about yourself in the interview. I often, if I have to speak before a large group, which I do, I will prepare a speech and I will give that speech and I will give that speech to my son if he will listen. I will give that speech looking into a mirror so I can see what people are saying when I make the speech. And I become very comfortable with it so I don't have to worry about and what do I want to say next.
Definitely. So preparation in all facets. With this, we've talked about some of the negative things that people can do. What are some things that young people can do that really make a strong impression in an interview?
I can talk about a young woman that we just recently hired at our firm, and she came in with a wonderful resume. It was printed on lovely paper. A lot of these young people will not have a resume that has a lot of jobs on it because you're still young. But a resume that has what you've done on nice paper with a nice font, none of the crazy font. Us old people, we need Times New Roman. Anything else gets a little difficult for us to read, so something with a nice, clean, crisp font.
Certainly.
When she came to the interview, she was dressed very well. Even though she had on trousers, that was a nice trouser suit. She had on a beautiful blouse with the suit. She had her makeup done appropriately. This is not a club setting. So she left the crazy lipstick and the long fingernails. She left that at home. She had a very beautiful makeup done very subtly. And she knew exactly what she wanted to say about herself. She had a good recap of the last job that she had had. And she had an idea of where she wanted to go in her career. And she was able to present herself very well, and we hired her.
One of the things that have impressed me is always promptness. There have been some people who have had the fortitude to be on time or before time to come dapper, even though it may not be for a Fortune 500 company, IBM or a Microsoft. But the appearance is key, man, because this is like a little tiny relationship that you're forging with the potential employer within a small time frame. So you really don't have a grand scale in which to make a huge impression on he or she. So in that minute time that you have to be with this person, you need to make the best impression you possibly can.
Think of it, man, fellas, even ladies, you at the club or whatever, you maybe got 30, 45 seconds to say your piece to this chick or whatever. And if you say some wild, whack shit, you won't be getting the ass at all. So you got to make a good impression in those first few seconds, and that's all the difference. She going to look at you and decide whether or not she want to give you some. It's what you do in those few seconds that will be, the determining factor. Just try to, bring it to something that we all can understand.
For sure.
Sometimes you speak like about, sometimes people will come out like they're going to the club, or sometimes, with the crazy fingernails with 3 different designs in them and everything. Our people at times, can be very expressive and very colorful. And that's a beautiful thing about our people. But sometimes these things don't translate well into corporate America. So what kind of things do you recommend where people can maintain their self but still be able to present themselves in a professional manner?
That's a very good question, and I have a couple of responses to that. And I have to say up front that I have a son that is 20 years old who has dreadlocks all the way down his back. And I, at first, was a little concerned about these long dreadlocks and what kind of job could this young man get being African American with long dreadlocks. But he's an art major. So the fact that he's got long